is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering The Dark Tower, Book 5, Wolves of the Calla, Part 2, Chapter 5, The Tale of Grey Dick. In this chapter, we get yet another story that proves that as long as you're young and hot, no matter how bad an idea it is, a man will agree with anything as long as you say you're gonna do it naked. Welcome to Unspoiled.
The rare show that begins with a fact.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. She's like, oh, we're going to be naked, it's fine. And he's like, oh, well, sure, I'll come to your murder dinner. That sounds great.
That's right.
That follows.
Absolutely. Wait a minute, are you going to kill... No, she said she's going to be naked. She's not going to kill me.
She can't kill me while she's
not gonna
naked.
kill me. Naked.
What is she going to use to kill me?
And I'll be naked, and she'll be able to see how erect I am, which was the weirdest thing for me, to be honest, is like, when he's like, oh, I can't wait for her to, for me to have a boner and her to see it.
Well, it's the power trip thing where she's a young, innocent virgin, and she's going to have to see it and won't be able to look away or do anything about it. And you know what I mean? It's like guys flashing women on the subway kind of thing, where I know I'm going to make her uncomfortable, and she can't get away. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Natasha.
I am Miles.
And forgive us if we seem a little off. We've been having a lot of technical difficulties this evening, and it is possible that we will not be able to finish this episode, but we're going to give it our best try.
We're going to try. We're paying a lot of money for internet right now, and it's not giving us anything resembling our money's worth. So,
I am familiar with that phenomenon, sir. I sure am. Oh, man. Yeah, that's actually a very common problem in this household, is that we have exactly one provider in this area, and if they don't do well enough, well, fuck you then.
That's it. Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. So, you have not read this book. I have read this book. I have read the next book. No comment on the book after that as of right now. And we start off, we were talking a lot about, in our previous aborted recordings about naked people, and what men will do when they think a beautiful woman is naked. Really, any woman. All women are beautiful, but women in general are naked. I'm just gonna stop digging that hole right there. Anyway,
just kind of.
Yeah. I'm just breaking that shovel right now.
Bless your heart.
So, 23 days to the wolves, and how many days, Natasha, until Susanna foals?
I don't know, because she is a human woman.
And not a horse?
And so I don't think that is an answer. I don't think there's an answer to that question. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I read that. I stopped. I looked at it and was like, why does he give a shit about this horse? Who is this? And then I realized Suzanne. Wait, is he talking about that? And then I just got really pissed. Like,
why would they name that horse after her? What's going on here?
I just got so confused for a second. I'm like, it's so weird how my brain can put together what seem like very disparate pieces of information. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the thing. And I'll be dead on. And some obvious shit like this, I'm sitting here going, but wait. Salem's at the end of Jerusalem. I'm just so dumb sometimes. But yeah, I don't appreciate him talking about her like that, especially because it would be one thing, if he thought that she was, pregnant with a weird horse baby, but he thinks that she's pregnant with a weird demon baby. So that feels even less appropriate,
With Beta Ray Bill is what she's doing.
With a what?
With Beta Ray Bill.
Who's that?
He's a character from Thor, Marvel Comics Thor. He's like a horse-faced alien. Anyway.
He's a horse-faced alien. Yikes.
Yeah, he's really cool. He's awesome. Beta Ray Bill's the best. Anyway. So, yeah, he is referring to Susanna as though she were a female horse, which is weird.
Yeah, totally cool. Nothing to see here.
And then he, like, thinks to himself what might happen if she gave birth on the same day the wolf showed up.
Yeah, he's just like, you know, the thing is that it's not likely, but he's also hearing Eddie's voice in his head going, what is it that he says? Coincidence is canceled?
Yeah.
Which...
And time is being so weird that it's like, how the fuck do they know what the gestation period of this is going to be anyway? And even if they did, how do they know how much time has passed?
Yeah, that's my favorite part, is just that time doesn't really mean anything anymore. So, you know, it's anyone's guess how much time has passed. And even if it were just a regular human baby and it would be 9 months, they don't know that 9 months is 9 months anymore.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a very weird problem to be having.
So Roland is hanging out with Von Eisenhart, who is the head rancher here at his ranch. I guess that is obvious. But anyway, the ranch is the Rocking Bee. I'm guessing that you don't want to come a-knocking because it's always rocking.
You fucking stop it. I hate you so much right now. Oh my god. Okay.
Anyway.
You're the worst.
What was the name of the place the boys stayed at in Meiji?
I really do not remember. Why did you think that it was called something similar?
Like, yeah, I think it was. It wasn't the Rocking Bee, but I feel like it was something like the Rocking Bee.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I'm gonna try to find it real quick as we move on here.
All right. I'm trying to find it also, but you go ahead with it without me.
Right.
Yeah, so they're hanging out, and Roland is trying to basically Roland's trying to be cool and kind of get on this guy's good side low key without actually having a conversation with him about fighting back, because he is not of the mind that they should try and stand up to the wolves. Basically, his feeling on it is, yeah, even if we beat the wolves, there is no information to tell us that they're not going to just turn around and come back with even more.
With more men.
Which is a fair point.
That's legit.
Mm-hmm.
This is happening as Roland. He has asked Roland to inspect his guns. He's got 3 of them, and he wants to know if they're any good.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is good. One of them might be, but probably not. And the other one, I love what he says about it. He's like, the other you might as well stick in the ground. Maybe it'll grow something better. Which is great.
Yeah, a gun tree.
And yeah, that's right. So Eisenhart basically says, suppose they send more after you're gone, because we defied them.
Right.
And this is the part where his wife, Margaret Eisenhart, joins them. And Margaret Eisenhart is the fucking best, and I love her.
Yeah, she's kind of rad.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's so many things in this that I really enjoy, but my favorite thing is how her husband seems unwilling to admit that these women are fucking badasses and might be making these weapons themselves. He's convinced himself that they just have a machine that does it, because for some reason the idea of women hand making the weapons is offensive to his little delicate man brain.
No, see, I think he knows. He just knows that he's not supposed to admit it.
I don't think that's it, because when the way that Roland describes her looking at him and very carefully not saying anything, he says she smiled a woman's smile and looked at him and said nothing because she understood the politics that kept marriage sweet.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
This is for sure a man who's just a little bit of a brat.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of letting him be a brat because sometimes you have to put up with that.
I don't know. I think part of me feels like he's just kind of being a contrarian. He's just kind of saying it to be an asshole, because he is clearly a little bit not embarrassed, but like, you know, he knows that it's a weird thing for his wife to be this competent, I guess.
I mean,
but
I feel like that winds up coming down on the same thing, though.
Yeah, I know. I just feel like I don't know. I really like their relationship, and I feel like Von Eisenhardt is kind of, I think, in a more textual sense than most other characters, he's like caught in what his masculinity is supposed to be, and like,
you mean like trapped in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like really would be really willing to come out of that. You know, like is kind of on the edge already, but has this like sense of social norm propriety instilled in him so deep that he like has to say, oh, well, they probably just push a button, you know, because women can't do anything. And like, I don't know. And she is a unique individual in terms of her background as well, which we learn shortly. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't like to say they're a progressive couple wouldn't exactly be right, but like they're the most progressive couple this town has, kind of.
Okay.
And like I don't know, it feels to me like he is closer to like accepting the the abilities and autonomy of Margaret than most other people would be in this context. That's what it feels like to me.
I don't think you're wrong, but I don't think that him being closer and also being a brat who's in denial are mutually exclusive at all.
All right, well, that's legit.
You know, like, it's just one of those things, like, as a woman, especially as you get older and learn to deal with less bullshit, there is a progressive, like, you start to see more and more guys that you have higher and higher hopes for, and this guy is like where you start to get once you're a little bit firmer about your boundaries and what you want, but you're still willing to keep your mouth shut about a lot of his bullshit.
Well, sure,
you know, and this is just but
a lot of that is social construction as well, you know.
Well, yeah. I mean, you say that as if that like just explains it away, when that's like intrinsic and just a part of it. Like it's not, that doesn't, I don't know. That was just a weird thing to like, oh, well, it's just of course it is. Like that's exactly that's the whole thing. Right.
Well, I'm not trying to divorce it from anyone's like personal responsibility or anything, but it's like, but yeah, I'm just saying that the comparison between, you know, the scale has shifted a little bit because there are very few, people that are going to be willing that are going to be willing to not keep their mouth shut in this kind of scenario, in this environment. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just so it's like, you know, the goalposts are a little bit further down the road.
Well, and it's not just like the social, like the actual society, but as a woman, a lot of times we are more willing to take shit from somebody that we care about. Sure. Because we think that since we know them in a different context than most people, that, oh, well, I know he's at his heart a good guy. And even though he's pulling some shit right now, I can deal with that in the context of our greater relationship in which I know he's a decent person. But objectively, from the outside, when you hear him pulling this kind of shit, you're just like, really, dude? Come on. Obviously, this is what's going on, you know?
Yeah, that's true. It is a nice little moment when he says that and Roland is like, okay, buddy, whatever.
Yeah.
You do you.
And it's amazing because, like, this is a huge advantage to have these women who are capable and able to do this. And Roland's about to, like, start singing because he's so happy.
Yeah, he recognizes it instantly.
And yet this dude can't, like, doesn't want to admit it. Like, it feels like he wouldn't have mentioned it if this hadn't have been brought up by his wife kind of forcibly, which is what's so funny to me is just like, this is a huge asset, dude. But because he just doesn't want to be involved in this to begin with, he isn't looking at it that way.
It is a little bit, there's like some questions about whose idea it actually was to tell Roland about this. Because she at one point gets super embarrassed.
Yeah.
and like doesn't want to even talk about it, and like, you know, so it's weird. I don't know. It's I guess it's kind of foolish to be like, I don't know, speculating about the social context of this town we know so little about, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I totally I get your point. Absolutely. I think you're correct. What was that snort for?
It's just the way that you said it was just like, it's just, I think it's a lot harder for dudes to like, to face when somebody's being kind of a misogynist asshole, even if they're a good person most of the time and they're, you know, their heart is mostly in the right place. Like, there's just times when that's what's going on. But
sure, I mean,
you know,
hey, we have to, you know, fucking. I don't know about the experience of most guys, but it's something that I have to like work for, you know, to not be that in the face of like things that television has told me is okay. So, and
it's hard when it's your own friends too, you know, like, that's probably the worst one, I think, for guys, seeing their friends doing it and not knowing how to like call it out.
Oh God, yeah, I know. I've had to do it a couple of times, but I'll be honest, like, I only actually did when it got like really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like when friends the other F word on a regular basis as just like a joking insult, and I'm just like, I had to take them aside because this was when I was in college and I was like way older than a lot of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are all like 20-year-olds, you know, and I just had to be like, guys, like, you know, at the very least, when I'm around, don't. Yeah. Because I don't want to fucking hear it. And, you know, so, you know, everybody's in various stages of...
When I first met Owen, I was looking through, like, really old photos on his Facebook because I was, like, totally stalking him. And some of them were from, like, 2004, like, because he's had the same Facebook forever, which I have not. And... some of his friends and even him were calling each other that in the comments. And he didn't, like, when we started talking, I was like, yeah, so I saw this and that. And he was like, fuck. He's like, I don't say that. I haven't said that word in years, but I definitely used to. And that's really embarrassing. I was like, yeah, it's kind of embarrassing, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever told the story on this show before or not, but I was doing a radio show in college one time, and it was a political show. And my friend Jonah and I, who Jonah was my roommate at the time, and I had been very friendly with his girlfriend. They were both from Tucson and everything, and we were all pretty good friends. She had come up a few times, and she listened to the show. And so Jonah and I were talking politics, and I was talking about specifically like crazy people in politics.
Okay.
And the names that I mentioned were at the time Christine O'Donnell, Sarah Palin, and oh God, what's her name? Oh, the fucking senator. What's her name? From Kentucky.
Oh. I don't remember her name. Hold on, looking it up.
It starts with an M. Fuck. What? I'm blanking on this.
Mitch McConnell.
No. It was... No, I think she's a congresswoman. Actually, anyway, the point was it was her. And I just, you know, these are a bunch of crazy people who had said crazy things in politics recently, and I didn't think any more of it. And Lauren messaged me later. She was like, hey, I had a real problem with what you said on the air. And I said, the fuck? Like, you're liberal. What did you have a problem with? She was like, you were talking about crazy politicians, and you literally only mentioned women.
True enough.
And I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that, like, once you start to see it everywhere, it's like so obvious. But when people aren't looking for it, it's so easy how it slips by. And I am definitely guilty of like things slipping by. And when people would call me on it, I would get very defensive because I felt like they were getting to an extreme at times, you know, where I was just like, can we not do anything? And now I've gotten to the point where I'm the one who's like, no, we can't do anything. Like, stop it. Like, I just have zero tolerance. I've gotten so irritated. And like the other night, Owen and I were watching Real Genius, that 80s movie with, what's his face? Val Kilmer.
Oh, God, I've never seen it.
It's actually, for an 80s, like, college romp movie, shockingly great. It holds up really, really well. There is only one female character, but she actually is characterized and is not just there as the pretty one. Like, she is actually a really interesting, fun person. So I was really pleased by that, but there is this whole thing about how the top minds are working on this one project and they're being hand selected by the professor for being the smartest in the class, and every single one of them that was selected was a man.
Oh.
And I was just watching it, like, waiting for at least the token girl on the project. But no, they didn't even have one. They just had a token girl in the movie as a whole. But the project only was dudes. And I was just like, wow, okay. Like, just things that would never have really even registered for me. And now I get really annoyed.
It was Michelle Bachmann, by the way. I don't know why I said Kentucky.
She's
from Minnesota.
She has those eyes that you're just like, I can't trust a word that comes out of your mouth, you woman.
Yeah.
She's just got a crazy face.
Oh, also, the place where they stayed in Meiji was the Bar K.
Oh, okay.
Rocking Bee reminded me of it.
I wonder if
Rocking Bee Bar K.
If you put all the letters together, does it spell something like what was it, the second or third season of Breaking Bad, when you put the first word of each episode together?
I was going to say the beginning of Miss Congeniality, where she figures out where the terrorist is going to strike next.
I don't think I've ever seen Miss Congeniality. I'd love that you just referenced that so much.
It's a great movie.
Oh, that's funny. I haven't seen it though. No.
Anyway, I'd be very interested to hear what you thought of that film. I think you would like it.
I've heard good things about it from people that I trust, so I probably would like it.
Yeah.
All right, so we totally have not gone into this at all, but so we really have. It's like so late. We've had so many problems.
I know.
I am losing you here and there, but it's not as bad as it was initially. So
likewise, yeah.
So basically, this woman she's like eager to prove herself and show off a little bit, but when Roland puts her on the spot, she's really uncomfortable with it and kind of treats it like he's fucking with her.
Yeah.
Which I found really interesting and I feel like part of that is probably because he's a dude and maybe she hasn't been taken seriously in this way, that when he's starting to be like, all right, do it, go ahead, that she thinks that he's like baiting her.
Yeah. I think there's a few interesting things here going on. I think the first one is that, like, this is the first time we're hearing about the Sisters of the Ariza, or Sisters of Ariza.
Okay, yeah.
And, like, Roland, as soon as he hears about these women, are like, holy shit, thank you. Oh my god, are there more of you? There are. Sweet.
Yep.
Like, let's get them all together. We'll have a big practice session. I'll pick the best ones. We're gonna be good. It's all gonna be okay. Mm-hmm. And, like, nobody thought to tell him that this was a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's so... I just love how, like, he's watching her and he can tell that she's a hunter.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing about her. Because she's the daughter of the head of the Mani, like, the peaceful, like, religious monks.
Right.
Right? And he notices about her that, like, she would have wanted to get away from them and to escape that lifestyle because she has, like, this fire in her veins. Mm-hmm. And the closest and, like, the best thing she could do is, like, marry some dude who was not of the Mani. Mm-hmm. And that was her defiance. But you can see it's, like, still in her. She wants to kill things.
Yeah. Yep. She's got a bit of the bloodlust. That's the way that I like to think of it.
Yeah, and for Roland, it's not even just the fact that they have this new weapon. It's not even just the weapon. It's, like, the fact they have this new weapon they can use against the wolves. It's the fact that they have this woman who's a fighter. Right. Someone that they know will fight back. And, like, will bring that ferocity and, like, actually defend her home, which has been lacking so far, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who are, like, seem like they would be willing, but nobody's, like, going to take charge. And I like that when he asks if there are other women who are as capable as she is, she's able to name a couple. And she does say that she's in the top, like, I think she's, like, top 3. But there are a couple other women who are also really good at this. So
Yeah, incidentally, Tian's wife is really good, and Rosalita is really good.
Rosalita. Papa.
Yeah.
I'm
And
really,
Roland is like, really?
yeah, I'm like really
Really?
cheering for him to hook up with Rosalita and for him to have like a bloodthirsty fighting girlfriend. I would be here for that.
We should probably get into this legend, the tale of Grey Dick itself, that has inspired the Sisters of Arisa, because we haven't really gotten into it, despite all the time we spent earlier talking about penises.
I'm sorry, everybody, that you missed out on that, but you know, things are going to happen, technical problems, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am a big fan of this weird ass legend. It's not even like that weird. Like when you think about some of the crazy shit in like Greek myths and stuff, it's really not that bad.
Yeah, it's pretty tame.
Yeah. So what it is that this dude, Grey Dick, killed this woman, Orisa's father.
Yeah.
And she tells him that she has found the light and been, what is the religion that she's like subscribing to at this point that she's claiming is
the man Jesus.
The man Jesus. And she wants to forgive him because that's part of the, you know, the teachings. And he initially is just like, yeah, right, you want to forgive me. You're going to hide a knife in your dress or I'll hide one in mine. And she's like, no, son. I'm going to be naked and so
We're
are
both
you.
gonna be naked.
Yeah. And he's like, oh shit, so you're going to have to look at my dick. This is great.
This is what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
How weird it is for somebody to just be like, and you brought up very, very rightly that this is like a long-standing power thing among perverts. Like, look at it.
Yep.
But for me, it's just so bizarre. It's just like, ooh, she's gonna have to stare at my erection.
Yep. Yeah.
It's like, what? She just wanted to look at it? What's happening here?
Correct. Like, it's basically the idea that she is this innocent thing that probably has no sexual experience, and we know that he's going to like that, so she doesn't have any other better dicks to compare it to.
Right.
And that she will be compelled to know that he's, like, lusting after her without being able to sort of fight back in any way. It's a power trip. He's like, yeah, totally. Let's totally do this. And it's just so, like, it's so true. It just feels so true. I'm like, yep.
And he's like putting this shit together in his brain. He's like, huh, I'm a handsome outlaw. And like, you know, maybe she wants to marry me. Yeah, that must be it.
Oh my God. Yeah, he's like, if she has the gumption or something to propose marriage, like that, this is her,
the audacity and imagination.
Yeah, being really smart about it. If she were like, dude, holy shit, just stop flattering yourself, buddy. It's not that deep.
Yeah, she's like, well, clearly she can't avenge him because she's just a girl, so she must want to make peace with me instead, and then like rule everything by my side. This is going to be really good. I'm going to go naked with this girl now.
God, precious child. Oh, sweet summer child.
Oh, sweet summer child. We talked about how this was like straight out of Martin in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So she meets with him, and they search the entire like dining area and chambers around to make sure that there are no weapons hidden anywhere. And as far as they can tell, there aren't. But they're not good at looking, because it turns out there is right in front of their face, but they don't notice it. It is a plate on the table that has been sharpened to this crazy edge and has one spot that's not sharpened so that she can grip it. And she has been practicing throwing this thing for hours a day for like months.
Just so she can kill this guy.
Just for this one dude, which is rad.
Yeah.
And they're sitting down, and according to different versions of the story, some people like to draw it out and have it be like a 12-course meal that she flirts with him and everything.
I would totally be one of those people.
Right, same.
Yeah.
Eventually, finally, she picks it up, throws it, and he doesn't even have time to react before that shit cuts his head off. And it's pretty awesome.
Yup.
I'm 100% here for this story.
My favorite line is when it says, For a moment longer, Grey Dick's body stood there with its penis pointing at her like an accusing finger.
Oh my god.
Then the dick shriveled, and the dick behind it crashed forward onto a huge roast of beef and a mountain of herbed rice, because, of course, rice.
So satisfying.
Yeah. And, So Margaret Eisenhardt's plate, or her Oriza, as she calls it, is made out of titanium?
Yes. Which, again, not expecting this. Like, I kind of should be, because I know that they have the technology in this world, but I just keep forgetting.
Yeah, and these women, like, mass-produce them and pass them out.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, this Sisters of Oriza, and, like, have fucking charity events and bake sales and talk to each other and hang out and also, like, see who can be best at throwing this deadly razor murder disc.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
Deadly razor murder disc, indeed.
And the fucking disc she pulls out, the plate she pulls out, is a fucking blue and white plate.
Yeah, I'm like, what is the deal with this? I just want to know. I don't understand the 4 special plate deal. Someone help me. Like, and this is the kind of thing that I'm realizing in some ways that Stephen King can be a little bit like David Lynch, where he'll have something pop up again later, and part of me wants to be like, what does it mean? And the truth is, it doesn't mean anything. He's just like, oh, another thing that you saw before. How about that?
Yeah.
You know?
He has a tendency to kind of fall in love with his own symbolism sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, sometimes he'll just be like, hey, look, it's a plate, it has to be blue and white, right?
Yeah, it's like, it really does sometimes seem like it's just that simple, but I'm not able to let it be simple. I have to make it into, like, this deeper meaning that it isn't necessarily. So I can get a little frustrated by myself.
There's also this weird bit where it's like the blue or the pattern on the plate is rice stalks.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point they cross in what could have been the great letter ZN, which by itself means both Z, eternity, and now. Which is like thrown in there, and I don't remember if this ever comes up again.
Yeah, the great letters thing is something that I feel like it's been mentioned before, but it wasn't the same letters, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be, like, remembering this stuff, but I'm not. Just, so you know. I'm not, guys.
Right. Oh, and of course it has a little thing on the bottom of it that lets it whistle, because that's part of the story, is that it whistled.
Yes. I really like that detail a lot.
Yeah.
The whistle go, woo! You seen that video?
No.
Oh my god, it's amazing. There's these things called whistle tips that people were getting welded to the inside of their mufflers for a while. And it was like one of those things that it's just kind of to be annoying, but it was like a little trendy for a second there. And this poor reporter who did not know what she was getting into goes and interviews some people at, I think is what's a like shop that does it. And it is this couple that is just so into it and so completely unapologetic about how fucking irritating this thing is. And the dude's like doing an imitation of it. The whistle go whoop, and this reporter is like, well, I mean, people are saying that it's waking them up in the morning. And he's like, that's just because they slept too late. They need to be up making breakfast or something. Like, just like, it is so fucking funny. I will never stop laughing. I've watched that video so many times. Anyway, so yeah, that is completely what I thought of with this. I'm going to send you that video later so you can watch it and see what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
And
so,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, this thing is like, it's like this beautifully crafted weapon. Like, when she hands it to Roland to look at, he's, like, reverent about it.
Yeah, which is honestly one of the other... Now that I think about it, is like one of the other kind of indictments of Eisenhart later being like, oh, they just push a button. It's like, no, dude, this is like handcrafted shit.
Exactly. Like, Roland knows, just looking at it, what an impressive piece of weaponry this is. And even hands over one of his own guns for her to hold on as hostage, basically, to let her, so that she'll let him look at it, which is like kind of a big deal for him, you know?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I feel like in lots of contexts this could come off as really silly.
Mm-hmm.
But it really helps that as soon as Roland sees and hears about this, he's like, oh, this is badass.
Mm-hmm.
Because Roland knows badass.
Yeah, he do.
So if he says something is badass, I believe him.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem silly anymore. It seems like a fucking weapon.
Yeah, I am like... I am totally here for Roland, not only seeing a weapon that impresses him, but finding out about a weapon that he didn't know about, period.
Yeah.
You know? Like, he didn't know that this was even a thing, and all of a sudden, he has found out about an army of women who kill people with fucking frisbees, which is hysterical and amazing. So...
He had heard the legend, but he didn't know that. He had no idea that anybody had actually weaponized the concept.
Yeah, you know?
And so they go down, and he's like, I want to see you throw. And Benny Slightman, the younger, who we should mention he and Jake have been having lots of fun jumping off the barn roof.
Mm-hmm.
And Andy is, like, supervising them. The robot.
Yes.
The messenger robot and many other functions.
Andy, who I just don't like. And neither does Roland. I don't like him.
Roland's asking some questions, that's for sure.
He's just too... unpredictable with his weird shit that he said that then he just tried to act like never happened. And I like that I'm saying it as if he has an agenda, but he's a machine. I don't know. He's maybe been programmed with an agenda. You know, who knows? But yeah, I don't like or trust Andy, and I do not like that he's kind of in charge of keeping these kids safe at the moment. Like, not that I think he would necessarily shirk, but I can't help but wonder if he doesn't provide the wolves with some information. Like, who does he report to really? We don't know, you know? I don't like it. I don't like any of this at all.
Roland is definitely kind of, by the end of this chapter, he's definitely acting like he thinks somebody might be saying something to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, first, before we get to that, we have Margaret throwing the Ariza. And as soon as Benny finds out that she's going to do it, he's like, oh shit, Jake, come see this, man.
Yeah.
This is going to be sick.
And yeah, at first she's like, no, go back inside. And Roland's like, nah, I'm pretty sure they should watch this. And then she's like, well, if you insist. Like, initially tries to be like she doesn't want them there, but then he realizes she totally wants an audience and she's kind of excited about this.
Right, and Eisenhart also has a line here that says, let him look, don't hurt a boy to see a woman do well.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, on the one hand, that's kind of cool, and on the other hand, like, why would it?
Yeah, well, the fact that he has to say it is definitely, Yep. And Roland makes her stop way further back than she's used to make this shot.
And he puts like a little potato on a stuffy guy's head.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh no, I could never. And he's like, yo, shut up and do it. Like, whatever.
Yeah. And she's, again, taking it kind of personally that he's sort of, like, she seems to think that he's fucking with her. And finally...
he's like making her nervous.
Yeah. And finally she just does it. And when she does, Roland is like... elated the way that she releases it. I'm trying to find exactly the line here. Show him and be done. I love how Eisenhart is just such a dick about it. I could never. I don't believe you. And then here it is. Her hand opened, the index finger pointing precisely along the path the plate would take. Of all of them in the yard, the cowpokes had also stopped to watch. Only Roland's eyes were sharp enough to follow the flight of the dish. True, he exulted. True as ever was.
And
so That's my favorite, is that he sees her do it and is just like,
Nails
oh,
it.
shit. And Roland goes over to the cowpokes and is like, so, you guys got families? Be a shame if something happened to them.
Right.
Right? Like, you're not telling anybody about what you saw here today. And at first, they're like, you know, they're looking scared, but also kind of looking at Eisenhart like, hey, buddy, he's not our boss, you're our boss. What the fuck?
Right.
And Eisenhart tries to tone Roland down, and Roland just looks at him and is like, I said what I said. Like, just doubles down on that shit. I was like, Roland, sometimes I forget how scary you are, and then you have to go and remind me with this kind of shit.
Last thing I want to mention is regards the Eisenhart couple. That I specifically want to bring up is that it seems like a part of this tension over her throwing the disc is that Margaret seems way more willing to fight. Like, we talked about it earlier, how like she is a fighter by nature, but she also is one of the people who seems like she's predisposed to being on the side of like, yeah, fuck this, let's fight him.
Yeah, definitely.
Because she says they had 6 kids, and they were fortunate enough to have 6 kids, all twins, who didn't get taken, who like they didn't get.
The timing of their birth was right when the wolves were on their off season.
The wolves didn't come for them. So, but the kids knew that their own children would be taken, so they left. Pretty poignant shit. I mean, like, she herself admits they're not like dead.
Yeah.
But they don't live there anymore, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when she says that, her husband is either crying or trying not to cry. So it's not like that doesn't have an effect on him. He's not a heartless guy. It's just that he's incredibly stubborn. And also, like we said earlier, it's not like he doesn't have a good point. We don't know enough about the wolves to be able to tell if they have enough numbers to just turn around and come back with more and just hit them harder.
Yeah.
And it's a very valid question. So, you know, it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, well, we can either take the risk and hope that they don't have any more and maybe it'll go well, or we don't do anything and you for sure lose children. So what are you looking for here?
Right. Yeah, and you know, and and Margaret says, like, you know, she essentially says, I'm on your side, but my husband is the one you have to convince, because if he tells me not to fight, I'm not fighting. To which Roland is like, you know, I like, in his head, he's like, you think that? I understand.
Oh
my
God.
You'll do what I want you to do.
I, like, the first time that I read that, I misread it because it just says he knew in the end she would do what he told her to do. And I thought he was referring to her husband. And he says, like, whether she liked it or not. And then I realized that he was talking about himself. And I was like, oh, shit, you are just such an asshole sometimes. Like, I'm not saying that he's wrong at all. But it just killed me a little bit that he was like, yeah, all right, sure. We'll just pretend that you aren't going to cave exactly the way I want you to cave. Sure, honey, if that makes you feel better. I was like, shit, dude. He's just so cocky. Which I'm fine with, you know, like, but. It makes total sense. If she's the one that wants this to happen, if she's the one that's kind of trying to get her husband to understand what they're really up against, it makes 100% sense, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. And I really want to, like, use her, like, oh, well, I'll do it if my husband says I can, to segue into a conversation about Hillary Clinton, but we're not going to do that.
Don't you?
We're not doing it. So after Roland threatens to kill all the people who work for Eisenhart on his ranch,
oh my God,
they go into this office area, and they're basically, like, Roland is questioning Margaret about, like, the other women that are good at throwing, and there are, like, 4 of them all together,
right?
And he's going to get them all together, and basically they're going to have a little contest. And then they start. That's when they start to talk. Yeah,
you
that
right
was
there?
not a sentence.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Everything good?
Yep.
You all right?
Yes.
Everything? Yeah.
Everything good. Yep, we're good. We're good. We're okay. Anyway, this is when they start talking about Andy.
Oh, right,
and
yeah.
Roland is asking questions about, is he forbidden to tell you anything about the wolves except when they're coming?
Right. Yeah, he's asking them questions that they apparently have never thought to ask.
Yeah.
And he's a bit irritated by the fact that it hasn't occurred to any of them to, like, just ask that next question, which is, but why? How does that work? Because the timing of what they claim is the creation of Andy doesn't make any sense if you, like, if he knows about the wolves. They claim that Andy was created by the old people. And the wolves haven't been around that long. So how can he have this information? It just doesn't make sense.
And the foreman, Ben Slightman, his theory is that there was something like the wolves before, and Andy can't tell them apart, which is interesting. He says, it's all I can figure, and Roland is like, is it really all you can figure, you fucking moron?
Yeah, he's just not having it, pretty much. And, you know, I don't, like, it's all I can figure. All you have to do is realize that your timing for when he was created is wrong. It's really not that deep. You know, like, you think that he was made by these certain people. Maybe he wasn't. The end.
Right, and this is all happening, I should also say, like, within the context of this other conversation about Andy, which is, oh, the kids will be fine with him. He can rip a mountain lion apart with his bare hands. It's like, oh, that's fine.
Right, like, this isn't something that I need to worry about my kids being around. It's it's just an advantage, and that's it. Yeah. Which I'm like, you know, if you want to see it that way, I understand seeing it that way. I'll just say that. But it just is so short-sighted to me that this thing that they don't really know where it came from, that they're willing to trust their children to it when it is the thing that brings them news about those who take their children, right?
Yes.
Like, just what? I don't know. So yeah, I appreciate how impatient Roland is about this. Like, he really just cannot understand how nobody has stopped to think this through at all.
Right. And then he pulls out the time-honored tradition of pulling out a map and telling everybody where his strike is going to be, and having no intention of actually striking there.
Yes! I'm
Which
here
is
for
something
this.
I always love. I always love it in fiction when that happens.
I'm totally here for this. Like, 100%. Him lying to everybody, and also he's, like, trying to figure out, okay, I know I'm eventually going to have to tell somebody. Who will it be? And then he's like, Nope, nobody, still nobody. Like,
he's like, Susanna, no, because Mia, and Eddie, no, because Susanna, and then Mia, and now Jake is really good friends with this kid, and you know what? No, none of you. I'm keeping everything to myself.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he could trust Jake, because he's like, oh, he's just too close of friends with that kid. He's not that close of friends with that kid. Like, when Jake
they just met.
Yeah, and, like, when Jake did the gun trick, it was, like, Roland himself said that opened a little bit of a gulf between them, where this kid realized that Jake is not like me. So, to me, you know, that's different. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. Jake's not a huge part of this chapter, but it does seem like what we get is basically him kind of taking some time to just be a kid, which is what Roland wants him to do. So I kind of feel like Roland is like, oh, well, you know, he's got a best friend now. He's out. Because Roland, like, really wants him to have a best friend all of a sudden.
Yeah. I don't
wants that for him.
I'm just kind of irritated with Roland, just like, because what I feel like is really happening here is Roland just doesn't want to tell anybody. That's what like, he's trying to act like, oh, what a shame. I don't have anyone I can trust. And I'm like, no, you do. You are just coming up with dumb excuses to not trust them and are isolating yourself, which is, that's on you, buddy, kind of, you know? I understand him not, obviously. Susanna and Eddie are both tricky. I understand not saying anything to Susanna because of Mia. Eddie, I feel like, I understand his concern that Eddie might let something slip, but Eddie has grown so much, and it doesn't feel like Roland's giving him his credit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and especially, what especially makes this weird in Eddie's case is that he says, not Eddie, because Eddie might let something crucial slip to Susanna and then Mia would know. Mm-hmm. Which is like, but dude, you told him she was pregnant.
Right.
Like, isn't that kind of like, once you tell him that, can't you basically tell him anything if your concern is that he might slip to his wife? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think you're right. I think he's just like, I think he's coming up with excuses to play things super close to the vest.
Yeah.
And like to not trust anyone and just be his old cranky, lonely Roland self.
Indeed.
Yeah.
His own lonely, cranky, Roland self.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. It for a second did kind of feel like, oh, I feel bad that he can't like share this with anybody. And then a second later, I was like, you know what? Fuck this guy. He could if he wanted. Like, I just got mad.
All right.
So, I enjoy that he's playing it like this just because it's so true to character to me. And it just seems like he, what's the word I want? I just kind of want to see what happens if he doesn't trust anybody. I want to see if that pans out for him or if it doesn't and he actually learns a lesson about trusting people. I'm going to go with probably not, but it could happen. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. It's within the realm of possibility.
So, yeah, that's where I'm at with that. It's just like, I'm pissy with him, but I also just am curious, you know, like, is he right? Will he be able to pull this off? And if not, what does that look like? Mm-hmm. Because what, like, he doesn't want the cowpokes talking about this badass Frisbee woman. What does he think the cowpokes are they gonna tell the wolves? What exactly about them having this information is threatening to him? That's kind of the thing that I'm stuck on now. Is what exactly does he think they're gonna say and do that could jeopardize things? Why isn't anyone allowed to know that these women are fighters? Because you would think that would give the town some encouragement, if anything, you know, knowing that they're part of this thing.
They don't see it as that, though. They don't see them as fighters. Like, I think they see the Sisters of Ariza as like kind of a, you know, like I was saying earlier, like a charity group who does bake sales, like, you know, throwing this plate as their hobby. But, you know, the people who are close to them, like Eisenhart, know just how good they are with it. Mm-hmm. And I think that really doesn't seem like general knowledge because nobody's mentioned it.
Right.
Like, they've talked to the whole town, and nobody was like, hey, just so you know, in case you do decide to fight these guys, there are some badass ladies in town with some super sharp metal plates, and they're really good at throwing them.
Real good.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel like they're just like they're treated as a curiosity, but, you know, maybe it just takes an outsider, and an outsider specifically like Roland, to be able to be like, holy shit, these are warriors.
The one thing about this that bothers me is that these women they're not boomerangs. Like, you throw that and it's gone and you have to go get it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Unless he, like, figures out where they're being made and he gets them to make, like, many, many, many of them, and they have, like, quivers of them, like arrows, which would be kind of awesome. I'm here for that, too.
I mean, we don't know how many they have. They practice regularly. I guess they can just go get them back, like, from the post or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're in the heat of battle, I'm imagining that you're not running out onto the field from wherever your covered position is to go grab them back. So you would need extra. And I'm just not entirely sure how that works, like getting extras of them. how difficult are they to make, and how, as he put it, are they too dear? Is it too expensive and difficult to make more of them? So yeah, I want to know more about that.
Well, we will have to press on. I'm thinking one more chapter again next week.
Okay, cool.
Which will be Grandpare's Tale. I love this chapter because the tale of Grey Dick is fun. And I really, really like Maggie Eisenhart.
Yeah,
I think she's a great character.
I like that you could just were like, every time you say the tale of Grey Dick, it sounds like you're saying the tale of Great Dick.
Tale of Great Dick.
This is some good dick, ladies and gentlemen. Just strap in.
This is the tale of the best dick.
Number one dick. El Uno. So, sorry. Sorry. I'm tired, everyone. It's been a day.
It has been a day. We
had
lots of technical difficulties and then engaged in a long gender conversation, so, you know.
Newest patrons. What's up, guys?
Hi.
We have Jolie Sturm, Siri Leafsdaughter, Tierney Nicholson, Anya Kriska, Ollie Hartley, and Quinn Hunsucker. Got some awesome fucking names this week.
Yeah, you do.
Welcome to all of you guys. A couple of you are $5 and up, so if you are, you will be getting access to the awesome Twin Peaks episodes that I'm doing with Maggie, covering the newest third season, which has been crazy. Peak Lynch. And I am about it. I'm really here for it. It's so weird, and I'm very excited. I just needed it back. Season 2, what were you doing even? So yeah, I'm really enjoying covering it again. There was a period there where I was like, oh man, Twin Peaks are killing me. But now I'm happy. And I'm really, really excited to be starting Leftovers again with Rashawn. We're in season 3 of Leftovers, and it's the final season. And the first episode was so intense. I was not ready. I should have been, because that show is crazy, but I wasn't. And it's so goddamn good. Guys, I know it can be a depressing show, but push through it. It gets so goddamn good. So yeah, I'm covering that with Rashawn, and I just did the first episode of the third season yesterday, and that'll be coming out this week. And I think that's about it right now. Is there anything you want to add, sir?
I'm just looking at these like chapters we have coming up down the line of this book. These are some long chapters, dude. Like the ones right now that we're going through are pretty manageable, but in a couple of weeks we are going to start covering like 50 pages per episode. It's going to be fun. Anyway, so I'm Miles, and I want the dick.
You literally got cut off just as you said that, and I was really hoping that would just be it. That you just got cut off right there. You kind of came back, and I'm a little bummed about it, but you know.
So I'm Miles, and you can find me on. You know I'm Miles. I never say that. What am I doing?
You
can
right?
find me. What?
You all right? Everything cool?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You good?
I'm fine. I'm good.
You keeping it together?
I'm all right.
Got enough oxygen going to your brain there, buddy?
You sound like Stewie talking about Brian's novel.
Got a little protagonist. I'm going to see some obstacles. I'm going to overcome them.
Some friends become enemies. Some enemies become friends.
I love that. I had never heard that before. And when I was talking to Rashawn about my novel, she like texted it to me, and I could not stop laughing. I was just like, "Fuck you, Rashawn."
So you can find me and my ill-advised creative endeavors at the Smash Fiction Podcast, which is available on iTunes and all the other good places where you get your podcasts. Smash Fiction is a show where we take fictional characters and put them into hypothetical situations and argue about who would win, because we put them into conflict, and it's a really fun, stupid show, and we love it, and a lot of other people seem to love it too, so check it out. Once again, it's Smash Fiction. You can find it anywhere. We're on social media, Facebook and Tumblr and Twitter at SmashFic Podcast. Our most recent episode was actually a kind of like a dragon taming match.
Okay, I love
because like
that. Just you sounded so unsure of yourself.
It's first of all, it's a little bit weird. Second of all, I'm not actually on that episode, so like I was a little bit doesn't have the same resonance for me because I wasn't a part of it. But I talk about Smash Fiction, and everybody's like, "Oh, so it's who would win in the fight?" And I was like, "Well, sometimes it's a fight. Sometimes it's who could find and tame a dragon, and it's a contest between Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon and Newt Scamander from Fantastic Beasts."
Oh,
so
nice. All right.
That was released this past Sunday. That is available right now on your iTunes feeds. And then this coming Sunday we have River Tam versus Lilu from The Fifth Element.
Oh.
So, that's a fun match, and that one features the return to Smash Fiction of my brilliant and lovely wife. So, tune into that one. Actually, it's funny because Sharon and I, she's been on the show twice before. And both times she and I teamed up. But on this occasion, it's me and Dan against Sharon and Kit. So it's husbands versus wives.
Oh. That's kind of rad.
Yeah, it's a very interesting episode. A lot of fun, a lot of great jokes, and good times were had by all. So that is coming out this Sunday. So again, Smash Fiction, if you like the show and you want to support us, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com/smashfictionpodcast. And some water here. Swig some water.
Are you all right? You okay, buddy? Everything all right? You getting a little hydrated there?
Some good water. Little hydration. Get a little H2O. The 2 molecules of hydrogen and 1 molecule of oxygen.
Oh, I love it.
Anyway, you can also find my other podcasting endeavors with the Odyssey Storytelling Podcast, which comes out once a month, and that is a podcast that I host where we tell stories. Basically, it's a live event here in Tucson where I live, and it's about 2 hours long. The episodes aren't 2 hours long, but they're basically like a little over an hour. People tell stories. They're about 10 minutes long, and they just tell stories from their lives, and they're not like trained. They're not media people. They're not trained podcasters. They're just kind of people who have like practiced telling the story a couple of times. And so, yeah, they get up on stage and they tell it to a live audience, and there's a specific theme usually involved. I think the last one we did was still like the last one that came out on the podcast, I believe, was still the potluck episode, which is interesting. The next one is about transformations. Okay. And it is a really, really cool session of storytelling. That's going to come out on, the last Thursday of September, so that would be the 28th. That will drop. And, check that out. It's the Odyssey Storytelling Podcast. I'm pretty proud of it in terms of, like, my editing and hosting work on it. So, if you want to continue to support my work in that regard, I actually do get paid for that. So, go check out the Odyssey Storytelling Podcast. And then if you have an interest in science fiction, you can go to my science fiction blog at Universes of the Mind at www.universesofthemind.com. No comment on recent blog posts.
All right, noted. I will not ask any questions.
Don't ask me. Don't ask anything.
All right, everybody.
It's too long. I have to cut it down. Sorry.
Thank you so much, all of you, for listening. Hope that you were able to bear with us through some of our difficulties, but I think that it will be manageable.
I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. And don't forget, everybody, to leave a review on iTunes if you've been enjoying the show. I'm going to do a check next week and see if we've gotten anything new from anyone. And read it out loud on the air if we have. Yeah. And say thank you and give you hugs and kisses and love forever. So, do that and get love. Because that's really, forever, in the end, what we all want. Right?
I like dick.
Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
was an Unspoiled Network podcast.